Welcome back to a brand new episode of the No ID podcast. I got here a creative person himself, comedian, producer now. This man is getting the credits. We were just talking about this like 2 seconds before he jumped on. You've seen him. He's killing over in with Sacramento, California,
San Francisco, Bay Area,
San,
Sac, all of
all over, man. The one and only Chris Beasley. What's going on, brother?
nothing much, man. Thanks for having me on, Rome. This is amazing. So I'm happy you had me.
I'm happy you're on, man. So for the people out there, let everybody know who Chris Beasley is.
Oh man, well, first and foremost, Chris Beasley is a husband. Got a shout out to the wifey. But then after that, the stuff that I be thinking about the most is I'm a stand-up comic, man, and now I'm a producer, which has been super fruitful for me as well. And been doing comedy almost 5 years. I'm in my fourth year, and it's just been such a blessing. It's been a roller coaster. I've completely gone full time into comedy too, so it's crazy to say, yeah, that's my full time job. I'm a stand up comedian, so it's a blessing.
That's motivation because I'm actually about to hit my 5th year as well too. So
Let's go.
shout out to you. Thanks for that motivation, man. So how did you get your start into comedy?
Yeah. So originally, it's kind of a crazy story, but I had ended up hospitalized back in, I think it was 2018, and it was a surprise thing. I ended up with pulmonary embolisms, which is just blood clots in your lungs, and it sidelined me, put me in the hospital, and I was working full time as a teacher, and just being in the hospital, something kind of like, when you're on death's bed kind of thing, like clarity pops up out of nowhere, and something told me you need to be doing stand-up comedy, and or not even stand-up, it was just like comedy was like bursting out of my soul. And like the moment they let me out of the hospital, I enrolled in some improv classes just to like let me just figure this thing out, and was doing improv comedy in a club called Dallas Comedy House in Dallas, Texas, and just fell in love with it, man. I was on crutches in my first class. Like it didn't matter. I'm gonna figure this thing out. And after 2 years of improv, a buddy of mine was like, "Let's switch over to stand up." And I'm so glad he pushed me to do that, because at first I was scared. There's no way I thought about doing stand up comedy, man. That's so different, but it worked out.
Most definitely. You remember your first open mic, that experience?
Yeah, it's a wild one, and I remember recognizing some of the other comedians who like put on the open mic, because I'd seen them at the comedy house, and it was during the holiday seasons, like Christmas, and one of my boys was in town, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go do this, and you know me well enough that if I need to get the hell off this stage, just like be honest with me, bro. Tell me like, hey, I don't have any business doing this. And I did the open mic. I worked on the little jokes that I thought were like killers. They were good. They were decent. And I got off the stage. It wasn't only him. It was a few other people that are like, dang, you look really good up there. Like this is what you do. And lo and behold, there was an actress in the audience too, right? So I get off stage, and one of the female comics, she's from Dallas too, everyone, and I guess one of her friends was in town for the holidays. She's a Hollywood actress. She's on a TV show on TBS named Hassie Harrison. And so I got off stage, and there's this like stunning woman just like trying to congratulate me. And she was so attractive. I was like, look, I can't, I got somebody. You need to back off. I don't know your intentions right now. I got to run. And so we dipped out. I dipped out so fast because I was just like, yo, this is too much. But she was just trying to say, yeah, you did good. You look natural up there. And it, it, it was a super cool experience, honestly.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I don't have any actresses out there in Virginia.
But I ain't had none since. So that was one time.
You remember your first that first bombing, that first time that you've bombed, and like how you felt after you bombed.
Oh yeah, man. The I've had a couple that were ground shaking, make you question everything. My issue was I didn't have a real bomb for a while, and so it wasn't until I moved out here to California I was doing a competition, and I moved on to the next round. And there's this big producer in California that runs the San Francisco Punchline, and so he was at the festival or at the competition. And I was like, "Oh, I need you to watch my set. I feel like I'm up and coming. I'm doing really good, And I didn't really hit any roadblocks or nothing, so I had a fake sense of what it took. And so I was like, "Hey, come watch me." And he proceeded to watch me bomb for 7 minutes on stage to just like silence, bro. And it was a little bit of nerves. I tried to switch stuff up a little bit to like sell myself a little stronger, bro. And you never want to change your jokes right before you're doing the competition. That's a bad idea. Bro, I bombed so bad he got up and left halfway through and was like, "Get me out of here. This is disgusting." And I ain't gone up at at his comedy club since.
I think my first time I bombed, I was at a bar here, right across the street from the house, and it's a church crowd. Like I'm in
Oh.
Virginia, like church crowds in Virginia, like they want you to be nasty and vulgar without being nasty and vulgar.
Mm-hmm.
And I had said something. It was a lady preacher in there, and I offended her. I offended a lot of people, and I had to anybody out there that's coming, don't ever bring a date, because I brought a date to an open mic with me.
They broke
Man,
up.
we definitely ain't. And she was like, "I don't think this is for you." And I had stopped for like 1 month, and that's how the podcast came.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the guys I interviewed was like, "Bro, you need to get back up there. It happens to us, man." That thing had me contemplating. I don't think this is for me.
Oh yeah, it hits you hard, man. After that bomb, I had to fly back to, because it was in Vegas. I flew back to San Francisco, and I just kind of like ducked off and didn't do comedy for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And luckily, another producer was like, "Hey man, I got this little show thing. I need you to like come out and support." And it was like half comedy, half wrestling. So like, yeah, bro. So there's a group of comedians that's on one team, and every team has a wrestler that represents them as well. So you do a roast battle, and then your wrestler wrestles for you. And it was such a fun, crazy thing that it was exactly what I needed after bombing so bad. Because I was thinking about quitting. I was like, I don't know, this hurt too bad. You know what I mean? I was shooken, man. But doing something fun after that's still comedy related, it really like made me feel good again. And then got me back out just in the scene, which is important. You got to keep going, but it hurts.
It really does. It makes you contemplate. You come home, you just cry on the sofa and like, you know what? I don't know if I'm built for this type of energy right now, man. And they end up closing that mic down like probably like a month later.
After your performance?
After my performance. Yeah, after my performance. I'm like, yo, damn, bro, I'm the one that closed this down. I shut it down.
The whole mic. That's impressive.
No, man. How is comedy? You're in the Bay Area, right? How is comedy in the Bay Area? How is the scene?
We're lucky, man. Comedy is it's a historical norm in the Bay Area to have comedy. So we've had people. Ali Wong is out of San Francisco Bay Area. Robin Williams. You got just so much history here that the audiences come out and expect comedy. And the only difficult piece is that your audiences are so vastly different that you got some that are super woke, and you have to really learn how to craft your jokes around their sensitivities, which, you can complain about, but honestly, as someone that's trying to improve at a craft, like I consider it, just being at Yale or Harvard, like you just got to work harder here. You just got to craft that appropriately and put in that time. And that's why a lot of comics out of here do pretty well. When they go to LA or New York, they've already been kind of built in, really having the right tight jokes that know you're going to get uncomfortable. And then I got a joke for you being uncomfortable that if you didn't laugh at the first punchline, this tag is going to get you because it's designed to, and just being able to roll with that. And then as a producer, like I said, audiences want comedy. You can produce a show here. There's so many producers, independent producers, because people love to go to shows in the Bay Area. It's amazing. it wasn't like that back home in Texas. And so that's one of my favorite things about being in the Bay.
It's not like that in Virginia.
I believe it, man.
It's definitely not. I think we've had two or three comedians that have came out here. We've had Leonard Oates, Jay Farrow, and Angus Black. That's it. That's where the buck stops. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, it's different. Like I tell people all the time, bro, if you want to like, even whether you're in Virginia or not, you need to get out your hometown
Yeah.
and travel, man, because like you got to test out those different crowds. Like we deal with the real woke crowd in Richmond, Virginia, and I'm talking about like walking on eggshells woke.
Yeah.
Like the slightest thing gets you canceled. But when you go out to in Norfolk, you can make 35 dick jokes and ain't nobody gonna judge you. You know what I mean?
Good. You're murdering out there.
Who,
That's how it is.
Who is that comedian? Who was the comedian or that special that actually, you know, like inspires your style? Like that one comedian, like, man, damn, I gotta watch his special. Or damn, every time I look his stuff up, I just gotta.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't even. It sounds so dumb, but just like being in Dallas, we didn't have a huge stand-up culture, and so growing up, my parents didn't really show me much, or I didn't see much stand-up. So every famous comedian I loved, I thought they were actors. You know, they were already in movies and things like that. So I didn't even understand, like, oh, that's a stand-up comedian who is in a movie. That's not an actor. And so I grew up on theatrical guys that were just kind of silly, like you know, Chris Tucker, Jamie Foxx, Martin, right? And seeing them as comedic performers is what I was raised in. So I take a lot of that like silliness and just maybe over the topness from them. But then my stand up is probably most similar to Dave Chappelle, as in it's super deep and introspective in different ways. And so I try and blend both of those, although Dave is super exaggerated and silly a lot too. But I didn't grow up watching Martin, Chris Tucker, and Jamie stand up. I saw their acting, but the stand up I really watched was Dave.
You're right. Dave is a goat.
Yeah.
Dave is a goat. Like people make fun of me because I'll say this, like I'm 34. So when Def Comedy Jam came out, it was already canceled by the time I got into comedy.
Right, yeah.
So I can't say, oh yeah, Def Comedy Jam, get it. This is before the streaming apps and
exactly
everything. So when I
you
started
need the tape.
He would have needed a tape. So when I started really getting into comedy, it was Comic View, Comedy Central, and Bad Boys of Comedy, which is a very underrated thing. Yeah, Kings of Comedy was out, but like I gravitated more towards the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, which is, I know as a black man, I said that. Yeah. As a black man, I said that on camera out loud, but yeah.
All about that one. It was still funny though. It was still funny.
It was hilarious, man.
Yeah.
It was goated in my eyes. So I get what you're saying, man.
That is I do remember that tour and just there watching those white boys do their thing. Yeah, that's a good one.
Exactly, man. It is. So how did you find your lane, like your voice in comedy? Because you know, sometimes as comedians we exaggerate a story, and then it's not the truth, and we're like, man, you know, how did you find your voice? How did you find your lane?
Yeah, so I think, especially being an older comedian, there's a privilege you have of knowing yourself a little bit more than some of the younger cats, just because you've been around longer in your own life, right? And so just really leaning in on who you are as a person. I've been an introspective cat for a long time. Like growing up, I took a bunch of personality tests and things like that. And so, you know, I feel like my voice and my makeup is a lot built on what I truly know is my identity as a person. And like, I talk about race and culture a lot as well, but that's because growing up, I did diversity and inclusion trainings. I worked in social justice movements and things of that nature. So I bring that to the stage, not inorganically. It's like authentic. Like this is what I talk about like with my wife, like people around me get annoyed, like, bro, don't you talk about something else? Like, no, this is me. This is who I am, you know? And then just this joyous positivity, that spin that I put on everything comes from me truly understanding, like I've been told by friends and peers, like they appreciate me being around because I lift their spirits, right? So it's like, okay, so people tell me I'm happy, I'm jovial, I'm childish, and the topics that I consistently view the world as are through this lens. So let me blend those two because that's authentically who I am. And what I love the most about stand up, bro, is when you say something and it sounds like you're the one that's supposed to say it, the audience lets you know because they just laugh so hard. They're like, when you say that, that's funny. If someone stole my joke and said it, they might snicker. It's like, it's still well written, but it don't hit the same. And so you get feedback on your voice because people are laughing so hard when you say that thing. And it's like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
So this is me. This is my lane.
Yeah, man. I think during the pandemic, I got tired of older black women coming to me. Oh yeah, that was so cute, baby. I was like, that's not me. I'm an asshole. I got
Yeah.
tired of that. So during the pandemic, man, I don't know. It's just everything started to click because I think we just locked down. I don't know how it
Yeah.
was for y'all. We were just locked the hell down. So I would go to work, come home, stand up. That's all I would do, and I was just writing. And my
Wow.
style form into like the introspective, like the observational, the humor. I started
Hmm.
digging into the bag of stop watching like the Lavelle Crawford. So no, shout out to him because he's a great comedian. Smart. I
Yeah.
started digging into like the dry bar comedy specials like Brad Upton. I got
Hmm.
into John Mulaney, and honestly, your style reminds me of Seton Smith, like that
Mm.
introspective,
Yeah.
that spin onto something. And I don't know if you've seen Seton Smith
I
stuff, but
haven't. I gotta check them out then.
he has a special on YouTube Live at MSG, and I watched some of your clips. I'm like, man, this is Seton Smith right here. You
Mm.
know what I mean? And I was like, all right, buddy, you're cooking when you
I
up there.
appreciate that.
So I'm like, all right. Um,
Well, and let me tag that just because one of the things that I struggled with early on too was like when trying to find my lane out here. Because again, I moved here. I moved to the Bay basically during the pandemic, and so I didn't have a lane out here necessarily because it was new city, new home, and I was trying to figure it out. And because I was new and upbeat, high energy, I kept being put as the host. Like, hey, can you host the show? Can you host the show? Can you host this one? And I was like, "Ah, bro, I feel like I'm more than a host, right? But then kind of going and addressing like the feedback people are giving you, they're also communicating where your value is. And it was like, okay, maybe they saying I'm a host because like that's a skill set that I have very naturally that maybe others don't. And so I just started to lean into like, all right, bet I'll be your host. I host here, I open, I do this. And it just started to pick up steam to where producing, I'm hosting my show. Like this is what I do, and it was just listening to the feedback and going like, all right, bet if I'm a host, I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna be the best host, and I'm gonna shut the shows down. If you're gonna have to follow the host, good luck, But that's where they got me right now. So that's what I'm gonna do, and it helped affirm myself versus I used to judge like I'm not the host. I want to be the headliner. I used to judge
facts.
myself off that, and I had to switch that mindset up and just accept this is my role. Maybe I have a lot of value here, and what we don't think about is where there's value, there's stage time and money, and so you just got to know your value and spend that into stage time and money.
The host got the most important job. You got to keep the energy up for
Yeah,
however long the show goes. And on
yeah.
top of that, like you're pretty much like improving sometimes. Like you have to
Oh
throw
yeah,
in your wit has to be like that. And I actually just hosted. Well, I hosted 3 shows in
oh
my
nice.
4 years. My first time I hosted sucked. Second time was like 2 Saturdays ago, killed it, and I just hosted a show actually last night, and I was
Oh
like,
hell
man,
yeah,
I was like, all right, I gotta get into it. I'm like, yo, the host controls the whole,
the
excuse my
vibe.
language, the whole fucking vibe. The
Yeah.
host has to bring it in there all
It's
the
good
time.
work, man. And you got, like you said, you have to be sharp, so you can write a joke on the side in your head that you're about to do just when that person comes off stage, and you're not only getting to test your ability to write real quick. If it works, it just brings the show up. If it don't work, they forget because you bring up the next comment. So it's like you got the freedom to try some stuff, and so I'm always throwing in little jokes here and there, and then when they don't work, it'd be like, you know what, let's bring up someone funnier than me. You know? So it keeps going.
It do, man. You're working with some celebrities now.
They weren't celebrities when I was working with them. Let me put it
Okay.
that way. We was all regular people, and then it was like, oh, you a celebrity now? Wow, bro, congrats. Must be nice.
You're working with some people that had a glow up in the
Yeah.
comedy scene. I said, can you name some of those people that you actually got a chance to work with?
Yeah, so I guess the ones that had the glow ups the clearest were Ralph Barbosa and Matt
Ooh,
Rife. Both of those guys. Ralph is from Dallas, so I worked with him early in my career, and then last year, right before his glow up. And Matt Rife also worked with and did a couple shows with here in San Francisco and in Dallas. And so the others would be I've worked with Ian Lara, who's got a few HBO spots. And then a lot of up and coming comics that are coming through that I'm trying to produce with Amy Miller, Saul Trujillo. That I guess
Rom
they're not at
Davis,
the celebrity stage. Say it again.
Rom Davis.
Rome Davis. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right before his glow up, baby. Right before.
Yeah, man. Ian, I just watched Ian's special a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, man, dude is nice, man. He's a beast. And Ralph too, and Matt has great crowd work. I don't know how
Unbelievable.
it's unbelievable. I just remember him from being on Wild and Out,
Hmm.
and then I think one day I logged
Which
into
he hates,
Insta.
by the way. He hates being remembered from Wild 'N Out.
I just remember him from that, and I saw him. I was like, man, Buddy is nice as hell with the crowd work, like the straight improv. So I give him to him on that one, man, and
Oh
I
yeah.
give it to you too. You know what I mean? Like you're doing some amazing things. So you went from a tragic accident happening to doing improv, to doing stand up, to producing, and to doing everything full time in a matter of what almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's when you put it that way, it is truly remarkable. You know, like when you're in the moment, you can't really see the full picture. You're just trying to get to the next thing
Hmm.
and trying to survive bombs because they make you question. Like I don't even think, oh, you've gotten this far. It's like, yo, maybe this ain't it. Like that's what a bomb will do to you. I did 30 minutes in this. There's this club, or it's really a restaurant, but the producer runs it kind of like a club in this place called Santa Cruz, and I was featuring for a buddy of mine. And so crowd work is popping. Everybody loves crowd work.
Facts.
But the issue is it trains audiences to expect that to be comedy, right? Like only crowd work. And technically in a club setting, if you have an opener and a feature, they're not really supposed to do crowd work because the headliner is going to be up there an hour. So they need as much time to do crowd work. So my headliner was like, hey, bro, just leave as much crowd work as you can for me. I was like, all right, but I'll just do material. I did material for 30 minutes to people that wanted crowd work, and they was just like, this ain't it. For 30 minutes, bro. And my wife was in the audience. We got in the car. She was like, you okay? You good? Oh, it hurts, man. So it's hard to remember all that but the grand scheme is, yeah, amazing things can happen real quick for people in comedy. That's what's so cool about it.
It sure can, especially with the internet now, man. It's amazing. Um, I know personally, I got to work with one of my goats was DL Hughley. And
Oh,
he was doing crowd work, and
mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there across from my sister. He goes, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "He's talking to me." Oh yeah, I'm a comedian. He said, "Man, such my person. He wants you to come do my show. I'm not gonna pay you." I'm like, "I would have paid you to go do
Yeah.
something. I would have paid you."
Wow.
And I did a feature. Now I'm supposed to do 5 minutes. I blacked out because I was killing it. I did 15 minutes.
Wow.
I blacked the hell out up there. I didn't know what to do. And then what
Yeah.
made it like even worse was like the person that was actually being his opener lost the crowd.
Oh no.
So like after the show,
Oh,
like
that's
one,
tough.
it's already intimidating seeing D. He like in my eyes, he's a unicorn. So he didn't touch the floor. It's like he just floated
Yeah.
to the stage. I'm shaking his
Yep.
hand. I'm in the Uber. I'm like, I was like, I just opened up fucking DL Hughley. And I was like, yeah. And then like probably like 2 weeks later, I'm like on the high of opening for the. I'm like, man, I ain't gotta do no. I ain't gotta practice no material. I go to open mic and
You
bomb
made it.
that. I made it. I go to open mic and bomb the hell out of this open mic. I couldn't get to work. I mean, I'm talking. I wrote the jokes while I was at the bar. I'm like, I should have wrote this shit before I got
Way
here.
before. Yep.
And I bombed so bad. I'm like, how the fuck do you bomb? And you just come
Yeah.
from the. And same thing. I get in the car and I don't have a wife, so I'm calling up my homegirl. I'm like, I just bombed. I'm like, I just bombed. I cried in the car. I was like, yeah,
That's comedy.
this is comedy, man. This is comedy. How is the producing side? Because you get a lot of talent that sometimes bomb or maybe just a little difficult to work with. How do you migrate through that lane of producing?
Yeah. So, producing for me, since it is a full-time gig, I have to be a little bit more critical about like how much I'm gonna make. Like, so I'm trying to run the highest level shows possible. So it does allow me to be a little bit pickier with the comics I'm working with, because I tell anyone that's looking into producing, there should be two reasons you get in. One, you trying to create your own stage time. If you creating your own stage time, you building the show, the quality can be whatever it is. You're just trying to build something that you get to perform on each week, right? But if you're building a show to make money, you got to book people way above your caliber. And so one thing that I always do is if I'm the host, then that sets a bar. Like if you're not better than me, I can't book you, right? Like it's just you have to be better than the host because that's just how it traditionally is. So I've been booking talent that I was looking up to just a few years ago. Like, oh man, I hope I get to work with this person. And honestly, comedy is such a painful gig that if you run a nice enough show, no matter how high level this person's at, they are thankful that you had butts in the seat, that you communicated effectively, that you got them paid, got them drinks, got them drink tickets, food, whatever. I have had, I'm trying to think, I've only had one bad instance, and that was just because the headliner got buried by a feature who just murdered, bro. Like that just happens sometimes. The
Yeah,
feature just
dude.
went off, destroyed the room, and then I had to bring up the headliner. And people were like, oh, that should have been the headliner. That's you never want that. You never want that. But it's been fire, man. It's been such. I recommend everybody try and figure out how to produce.
Yeah. Damn.
Because you get the stage time, you get the hosting experience, you get money, you get the networking is built in. Like these people who like it would be someone I look up to that hopefully one day makes it. They are someone that now leans on you and trusts you. Like you put money in their pocket. It's not like what can they do for me? It's like, no, what can I do for them? That changes the relationship. You know what I mean? And it's another thing we don't, as comics, when we see us all and we're just judging each other on like how funny we are. These companies, these restaurants, these business owners, they don't know how to create events that make audiences want to come back. They just know how to sell their food, right? So we miss our value all the time, but our value is we can put on a show where people keep coming. They want to talk about it. They want to share it with their friends. And that's super valuable to business owners. So we can go into a business and be like, look, what's your dead night? Do people come here on Tuesday? They don't. I can get you 30 people. I can get you 50 people, whatever the size of the venue is. That's so valuable to these restaurants. And that's one thing that I wish us comics knew more about is how to sell our value to people that already got money. Because comedy, there's not that much. There's not that
No,
much money.
it's not. We get like producers that will get an open mic, get a room, and they'll open it and there's no crowd. This is not a comedy crowd at all. Just like the bar I was at, it's a
Yeah.
Christian comic in a bar. They're taking shots of liquor, but she can't cuss, she can't say this, she can't. I'm like, all right, they just didn't know how the business worked. So
Yeah. And it's also about being clear. Like, I think we get nervous about telling people, like, yo, this is a comedy event. And so you want to run it where everyone there is for comedy, right? A
facts.
business owner might not trust that because they don't have experience with comedy. We have to be confident, like, no, this stuff works. It works all over the country. Because if you just surprise people with comedy, bro, you can be the funniest person in the world. If they don't want to be listening to you, they not.
That's facts. That's facts. So let me ask a question: is your goal, because I know you're producing, still doing your stand up, are you hoping that, maybe in the next year or so, a couple of months, that you get that big Netflix special? Because you see a lot of people get the Netflix, you see them getting the
Mm-hmm.
HBO, the Showtime, even the YouTube. I've seen some Tubi specials. Is that like
Yeah.
one of the one of the checklists, one of the bullet points in the checklist?
Yeah, so I think I'm in a unique situation where I I'm visualizing the game from a different angle. Like, I see Ralph, I see what Ralph did, and I know one of the things that really helped Ralph is he has an audience, and that audience is very clear. Like Netflix is only getting him, one, he's blowing up, but two, they know how to market him. He has a product at this point. He is the number one Hispanic comic, and he has this like stoner vibe at the same time. So like there's so much branding built into that where he is they're going to be throwing specials at him. Matt has created this lane where he's this sexy eye candy for women. You know what I mean? Like that's his product, and so he has an audience. These women that are gonna sexualize him. That's his audience. And so a lot of successful comics, either you're really funny and you kind of slowly move up, or you have an audience and a brand off rip, and then you blow up that way. And so I'm noticing my career, it's like, you know what? I don't have a really clearly defined audience. I never I never really have fit any one mold of like, oh, like that's a straight up black comic. Black people really love them, or oh, that's a blue collar white boy comic. Like I don't have those necessarily lanes that I can really fill easily. So I'm trying to build my own path that's really um it's really built off time and experience. And so I don't see me dropping a special for 10 years, like a long time, just because what I'm building out here is I'm trying to build what I've seen a couple other secret people build is they you heard of Don't Tell, right?
Correct.
The owner of Don't Tell was a comic, and he just don't tell jokes anymore for his money. His bread comes from producing Don't Tell. And it's like he's connected. He goes to where all the comics go. I'm sure he can call up any of these big time comics and their boys and stuff like that. But he don't have the name and the recognition because his brand and his company does. And so I'm looking at the business from that angle. It's like I'm funny. I love doing stand up, but I got a family. I'm trying to build something super sustainable. I can't live life on the road. I know that won't necessarily work for my lifestyle. And so how can I build this producing regime that will keep me paid for a while? There's a comic out here named Stroy Moyd, who
Mm-hmm.
he's not famous. If you're not out here, you don't know of him. But if you out here, he's everywhere. You know what I mean? Like he runs the whole thing. He has like maybe 15 shows a month that he don't even show up to. He just owns them. You get me? Like he built a product. It's called Hella Funny, and it's just so impressive that his whole lifestyle is taken care of off of comedy, and he don't even perform. So it's different. There's different lanes, and I love performing stand up, but the business side of it, I'm kind of getting addicted to.
Yeah. I ain't produced a show yet, but the performance side is a drug, honestly. It
Mm-hmm.
really is a drug, man. And when you get out your bombing phase, because it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you get out your bombing stuff, man, when you start killing it and you're booking shows and you're networking, you're building up with other comedians that's made it,
Mm-hmm.
legends and people that's like hot right now that already have that fan base and that brand. is addictive. But I haven't gotten to the producing shows yet. People say I should, but I travel and I know the shows wouldn't be consistent.
Oh yeah, it has to be consistent. That's a big piece of it. So you say if you already travel though, then leaning into the performance side, it makes total sense
Mm,
because you're gonna get new places, new people, and that's kind of built into it. I
yeah.
will also say these comics that you know focus on specifically stand up. If you getting up enough, you have a real shot. Like, but it just takes so much stand up. It takes so much stage time. I met Dave Chappelle. Was that this year or last year? It's all blurring together. But I
It
met
was
Dave
last year.
Chappelle.
I stalked
I
your
think it was last
page.
year.
I stalked your
Yeah,
page.
yeah, no, fair, fair. Yeah, so that was last year. And Dave's opener is a big comic out here. His name is Chris Riggins.
Mm-hmm.
Chris is phenomenal, bro. He's been doing comedy for a long ass time, and he's not. He's Dave Chappelle's opener, but he don't have the fame or the Netflix special, and he got me beat by funny by a million miles. This fool, Chris is one of the most naturally funny people I've ever seen just kind of operate, and looking at his journey, it's like, yo, this thing could take 30 years, easily could take 30 years. The Ralphs and the Matts have grinded and become hilarious, but they got their brand lane too. So it's a you got to make a call. Like, am I gonna get 30 years of stage time? Am I gonna grind at that? Right? Am I gonna get up enough? And if not, what other ways can I make comedy work for me? So that's why I got into producing. It's like I'm not gonna be able to compete with Chris Riggins for a long time. It's gonna take a minute, and so right now I'm just, if Matt's in town, hey, I'll pop in and get a guest set. If Ralph's in town, I'll try and get a guest set. But my own Netflix special, whoo, it's gonna be dope when it come out. But it might be a minute. People be like, people still watch Netflix. That's when I'm gonna get it. They're like, oh, congrats, bro! I didn't even know that company was still around.
It is what it is, man.
Right.
I don't know, man, because you hear these comedians telling me I was grinding for 20, 30 years. Then you hear some of the newer comedians that's just been gutting it out for probably way less than half of those years. And I
Yeah,
think like the social media thing and
it
finding
is
that right
different.
clip, it is a little different, man. Because you see a lot of the skit comedians now too starting to blow up
Mm-hmm.
and go into stand up. Like you saw Jess Hilarious, Drewski
Mm-hmm.
is popping. Haha Davis, you see them take that transition on, man. Did you ever think about doing skits or?
Yeah, so I've done a few of them, and this is why I never know. It's like does Ha Ha Davis do they love skits, or were they like, I gotta make it so bad I'm gonna figure these skits out? Because like when I make skits, I feel like I'm losing my soul. Like I hate them. Like I hate filming them. I hate acting in them. I hate re-editing them. I'm like, bro, this is the dumbest shit you have ever done. Like it don't hit with me. Whereas stand up, it just feels so pure of like this is my lane. So it's I can't tell if I don't like sketches because I just don't, or if I don't want to go that route to make it because it just don't feel authentic. I can't figure that out. But I've shot some sketches and they get some love. I just don't enjoy it, and it's real hard to keep doing something you don't enjoy.
Yeah, that's true. I shot one. That was the end of it. That was the end. Yeah, and I hope the day that I do make it famous, uh, it doesn't pop up.
Yeah, it does that. Yeah,
It doesn't pop up.
I mean,
Um,
because even what's Abbott Elementary? What's the actress's name?
Quinta Brunson.
Quinta. Yeah, she started with sketches,
Hmm.
but she's an amazing writer and really built that skill. And so there's so many people that started in that lane that have made it, and maybe it's something I got to look into more. But right now, I ain't figured it out.
I ain't figured it out either. I didn't like it. I hated it, but
Yeah.
it was me and three other comedians. Man, it was a terrible skit. It was called Jebediah Gentrified Soul. Was like soul food, but organic. It's like swole.
Okay.
But it
The premise
was
is there.
the
The
premise
premise
was
is good.
the execution was off. Like the group broke the hell up. Like only three of us
You can't
actually
work with
took
us anymore.
it. Can't we? I'm like, nah, hell no. We was breaking up before the skit, but it just added flames of light to the fire with the skit. So I'm not a skit. I thought about it, especially during the pandemic when we couldn't get to the stages. But I had
Right.
discovered that them Zoom comedies.
Yeah, they were tough, but they were there.
I still do them, but they were tough, man. Like
Oh man.
I got to meet my crush on Zoom. Takara Williams. She hosts Chocolate Sundays.
Really?
I love her to death, man. And
That's awesome.
I hope she's listening.
Shoot
She
your
is.
shot.
Yeah, man. I got a 787 credit score. You
Oh,
know, you
okay.
know what I mean. My debt
Listen
to
up.
income ratio is at a 20%. You know, no
Woo, I see
kids.
you.
You know what I mean. Car paid for. You know, she's listening. She's not
Oh, do you
listening.
have a red flag? What's your red? Oh, you a comic. Never mind. That's a red
Exactly.
flag.
I was joking with my homie like this the other night. He was like, "Yo, think about it. Like, you wake up one day and tell your parents you want to become a comedian. Like, no."
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I had to be like, Mama, I almost died. That's the only reason I was dying. Otherwise, hell no.
Before we end this, I gotta ask two questions, and I asked this
Yeah.
two questions. What advice do you have for those comedians or those producers that's actually trying to get their foot into the game, and what advice do you have for them to keep on going forward?
Mm. Um, I'll start with the second question first. The advice to keep on going forward is we are all blessed to be in a time where there are no real gatekeepers. It's all on you, right? So there's no reason to really stop and quit, because if you're not getting the feedback you want, build your own thing. You don't need whatever's stopping you. Like that's the beauty of it. Now you do have to also listen to feedback. Like if they're telling you, bro, you're too edgy, right? Being too edgy is a killer of young comics, because this was at the Hollywood Improv, or no, the booker for the Hollywood Improv. She was telling us young comics have been coming in super hot, and they're good writers, but they're so edgy that audiences, they can't hear all that, especially at the beginning. If you're young, you're gonna open, and the opener comic can't ruin the room by trying to be edgy every time, right? So we have to listen to feedback, but nowadays you can build your own lane. So there's no reason to stop unless you just really don't enjoy what you're doing. Now, the advice I would give to young comics and all of us kind of where we're at, oh man, I feel weird giving advice because most of this stuff I didn't listen to. Like when I say it, you're gonna be like, he don't know what he's talking about. That's what I did. So it's strange, but it does come down to stage time, writing, and knowing yourself. I do think nowadays everyone wants to like at the beginning you kind of are mimicking others. This just kind of happens, right? And then you trying to find your own voice. And I think your voice lies in really analyzing who you are, where you're from, what's your family like, what you do for fun. Like just really think granularly, not what everyone else talks about, but who you are as a person, and just spend a long time being not funny about yourself, as detailed as you can, and eventually you'll crack how to be funny as yourself versus spending 3 years acting like Jim Carrey and then be like, oh, this ain't even who I am. You know what I mean? Like just focus on yourself, and you might not get much work or feedback for a while because you're learning, but once you crack, like if you think of Ralph Barbosa, he's just him, bro. When he on stage, I mean that's him off stage. That's him all the time. But but he's just him, and he mastered that. And I think I spent a long time trying to be similar to Dave, and try to have a little Jamie Foxx and have a little bit of this. And as I've leaned into just who Chris Beasley is, it's been way better.
That's it. I mean, your name on Instagram is just Chris Beasley.
And that's on purpose, because it took me a long time, bro. It took me so long to accept that, bro. I was trying to be all this, all that. I was like, bro, you just be yourself.
Most definitely, man. I appreciate you coming on, my guy, and doing the interview. It's been a long time coming. Like I said, we've been following each other for a while. I don't
For a
know
minute, yeah.
I don't know what Facebook group or how, but
Right?
it's just a comedy divine intervention, I guess.
Yes, sir.
If anybody wants to get in contact with you, see any upcoming shows, what do they follow? What do they, how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. I am just Chris Beasley on Instagram, on YouTube, and that's my website as well, just chrisbeasley.com. Only thing I'm not that is Twitter because you can't have that many letters, so it's Chris Beasley. But yeah, mess with me, hit me up, let me know if you want to collab on anything. I'm super available, super reachable. So let's get some work in there. Let's do it
Let's
and
get it.
rock with your boy Rome. He's
This
killing it.
rock with Rome, please, please. Um, if you guys want to get in contact with the host, myself, that is comedian Rome. It's been a long time for that damn name. I think I done changed it. Like I think Instagram told me I had like 47 or 48 different names because I was trying to
Wow.
find my lane. And then,
Exactly.
and if you want to follow the podcast on Instagram or Facebook, it's No ID Media TV. That is a brand. We are expanding. We're not just doing podcasts, but we also got some stand up clips in there as well too. So if you want to see the stand up as well, you will. Make sure you support Chris uh, as well too for his shows out there in the Bay Area. This man is extremely funny. He's getting he's I wouldn't even say a prime. Like you're not even peaking. Like it's a lot out there, man. It's genius. Like I said, Seton Smith. If you ain't,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with me, Rome. I'm gonna check him out for sure.
yeah, check him out. I'm supposed to get him on this show too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. But make sure you guys hit the link in the bio, like, share, comment, subscribe, rate. Not just my content, but Chris's content as well too. And just keep supporting the comedy community, man. We're out here.
Yes, we are. Thank y'all so much for listening too. I love that. That and what Rome, what you're building is phenomenal. We really appreciate it in the community.
Appreciate it, man. Chris, I appreciate you. Y'all, people out there watching and listening, I appreciate y'all too, man. Exit.
Peace.
Peace.